Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to start this new series called Preparation for Canadian Immigration. In this series we will cover 4 stages that any one who wishes to immigrate to Canada has to go through, and in each of those 4 stages what is the best approach that you have to take, the best tips and tricks that you need in your pocket so that your process is efficient. It will spend minimum money as well as it will take minimum time to immigrate to Canada. So in this series, this is our first video, which is the prerequisite check that you must do before you spend any single penny from your hard-earned money. So let's begin. Things to verify before spending any money on Canadian immigration. The first step is that you assess the Canadian job market for your profile. Now this step is important because the kind of job profile which is in your home country might be very different from the one which is in Canada. For example, project managers here in India are expected to manage people. That is their basic job. Whereas in Canada, it is completely different. There is no such thing as people management. Everyone knows their own job and they do it accordingly. You don't need to manage them at all. Instead, you have to be very hands on the stuff which is going on, whether it is some kind of analysis, technical, building something, or guiding the people, and all those things. So, the job description and the expectation which you have is very different than the one from your home country and the one which is in Canada. So please do a thorough research on this first. Maybe you can ask a simple question on Quora itself, or you can ask your friends, relatives, or anyone that you know, or simply do some Google search to understand the expectations. So this is a very must step that you must do before you begin the process. And when you are doing though, so there are some important things that you must take care of, which I will cover in this slide. So first thing is you can go to the some reliable job search sites, that is the Google search, LinkedIn, and Indeed. These 3 places, when you go, they not only provide you the job description, but they also give you salary information, the median salary information, as well as your soft skills which are required for that particular job. So this information is important to collect and assess before you proceed ahead. Second important thing that you must take care of is the licensing requirements. Now, many jobs here in Canada are regulated. It means that you need an official professional license before you can do that job legally. So some of these are related to medicine, for example, dentistry. Others may be that of lawyer or so on. So there are many jobs, even the driving truck driver job. Again, that is also licensed to some extent, and you have to understand what are those requirements, licensing requirements. And to obtain that license, you need to take care of 2 important things. One is the cost and the timeline which is required to obtain that license. Especially in medicine field, the cost is very huge, as well as the timeline which is required to obtain that license can vary from minimum 1 year to all the way to 3 years or more. So you have to take care of this or note this before you start your process. So please do take care of these things. The second important thing that you have to take care is the provinces. Now, not the entire country is of course same. Some job roles or descriptions might be, openings might be more in some specific provinces compared to other provinces. For example, Toronto is one home area where financial openings, job openings are more. Whereas when you talk about IT, nowadays many companies are moving to province called Kitchener, which is within Ontario. But yes, this differs from province to province. Many hard labor jobs which are there, they are mostly in demand in other provinces like Newfoundland and Manitoba and so on. So from province to province, their in demand occupation list is different, and you have to assess this information before job hand. Why? Because there are three important factors which your province dictates. The first is PNP. Now, PNP is related to your immigration. If your CRS score is less than the current cutoff, is way less than the current cutoff, then you can choose the PNP route to immigrate to Canada. But again, there are cost and timelines involved which you have to note. But they can be worth if the job role that you are looking is in abundance in that province. The second is, of course, the standard of living. Now, given the minimum wage requirement which is there in Canada, you can always be sure that more or less you will be able to survive in Canada. But if you want to live up to a certain standard of your life, maintain a certain standard of living, then there is some amount of salary that you will need in your hand to live that life, because provinces also dictate taxes, and taxes are a big shock that many immigrants get when they get their first salary slip. So taxes, standard of living is very important to note beforehand before you think of moving to Canada. The third important thing is, of course, climate. Now, generally, the winters are very harsh in all over the climate of Canada, but specifically when we talk about a province like British Columbia, over there the winters are mild comparatively. Whereas when we talk about the very next province next to it, Alberta, over there the winters are harshest of all over Canada. And when you talk about more northern side provinces, they are completely barren, and the winter is very harsh. The climate is very cold over there. So these things you have to take care of before you move. So province is a very important factor in your immigration, not only the country but province. This is very important, and I cannot stretch enough of this. This will dictate your life in Canada. So please do note, take a note that in which provinces your job is in highest demand. Please do take care of this. The second step which is there is basically, once you're done with your first step, you know, okay, in this province I my job demands are more and I can comfortably live if I do get a median range of salary. Then your second step would be to calculate your CRS score. Now many people here directly approach the agent before they assess themselves. They directly ask the agent that, can I go to Canada, is it possible for me? And now of course to some extent you do know that they have their own purpose in their mind. They want to earn basically at the end of the day. So it is highly recommended that you check yourself your CRS score, and this is completely free. Anybody can do it. How? All you have to do is calculate on this link, which is right in your screen. I will add this in the description box as well. Just go to this link. There is a simple questionnaire Google form like form which will appear. It will ask first your age, then it will ask your education details, then your work experience details, your language scores, and whether you have your education from Canada or not. Similarly, whether you have worked in Canada or not. Other information that it will ask is related to, do you have any job offer? Do you have already have the license? Do you hold the license which is required? Do you have the provisional nomination with you? And the final question will be if any of your real brother or sister, real in the sense blood related mother, brother or sister, is living in Canada or not. So these are some basic questions that I will ask, and on the answers which you fill, on that you will get a CRS score. So of course now here you can just take a rough values which are relevant to your profile. Your age could be here and there. You can do combinations of values and see like how your CRS score is affecting with each and every input. For example, between 2 years of experience and 3 years of experience, there's vast difference. Between IELTS 7 and 9 or 10, there is a vast difference. So all these small points will change. Now I will create a very detailed CRS video separately. But for now, you must do that. Check your score on your own from this too and note it down, like what would be your score if you fill the information over there, because that will be your actual CRS score, very near to actual score. There might be some variations, but usually that will be your actual CRS score once you actually fill your profile in the government Canadian sector. The second step, now this is tricky. that you have to do is check the latest rounds of invitation. Now, whenever Canada government takes out a draw, it posts its related detail. It will post its score, it will post the screen, and it will also post the number of invitations which were there. So please do take care of these 3 points. Now, how they affect you, I'll tell you. The first point is the score. Now, what is the current score that they have provided for the immigration, the cutoff score above which all the candidates have been invited? That score should be very near to your own CRS score. Only then you can expect that you have a fair chance to get, or a realistic chance to get invitation in coming up cutoffs or coming up round of invitations. So this is kind of requirement. If your score is very low than that, then the chances that you will get invitation in upcoming rounds might be very dwindling. The second important thing is streams. Score and streams, these two things are important, they go in hand in hand. Now the difference I will explain. Basically, for all streams for which most of you will be eligible is 470, which is definitely high comparatively because it needs almost CLB 9 and master's education, and your age should be less than 25. If you feel these requirements, then your score is 470 for all streams. Otherwise, your reaching 470 is very difficult. But when we talk about Canadian experience class, the score for that can be even more sometimes. And another advantage is that given the COVID, nowadays Canadian government is calling or withdrawing, having more draws for Canadian immigration class compared to the outsiders. So that is kind of an advantage which this stream has got because of COVID. But stream to stream score changes, and only people relevant which are qualifying in those streams will get an invitation. So the stream in which you are eligible and the score, cutoff score which is there, these two are combined together. It will tell you that what are your realistic chances of obtaining IT in upcoming rounds of invitation. So please take a note of this. And the third important which can partly decide is of course the number of invitation. Now in the past, Canadian government was usually calling out around 3,000 or so applicants in one round of invitation for all the streams, but nowadays it has increased to 4,500 to 5,000 also, because they were not able to call them before because of COVID. And now if these COVID stabilizes, if vaccine and all comes up and the situation is normal or near to normal, then they might increase the number of invitation to meet their targets. So just take note of this because it can affect that whether you would be called or not. Because it happened that just in December, people with score 470, 469, 468 were also called, whereas previous to this the score was lingering at 470. So you can see the difference between the number of invitations. The number of invitations increased and many people got invited which they were not expecting. But their score was near to 470, which was the current running cutoff. In future, it might increase or decrease depending on the COVID situation and other factors. No one can say, but do keep an eye on these three things because it will tell you what are your realistic chances to get IT. The third important step which you have to definitely take care of before you start the process is that you need funds. Because the immigration process itself is costly, and I will cover like where all these costs are. I will cover the breakup of this, but do note that a kind of rough suggestion that you will need at least 20,000 Canadian dollars per person to have a smooth process. Without that fund in your hand, it would be very difficult and crunchy for you to go through this entire process. So why this much amount? I'll explain. So to begin with, there are some fees which are before ITA, before you obtain IT. These are related to your educational qualification, basically assessment, which can run around $250-300. Then your language exams, again, each of your attempt will be around $250 to $300 also. PNP, if you go for PNP, then that can vary from province to province. It can be from $500 to all the way up to $1,500 for Ontario province. So you can see here, even before obtaining ITA, you are involving in this cost. Of course, if you go for license, the cost levels are completely different. That I cannot even count the previous 20,000 CAD dollars in that. But this is normal case. If you talk about, you will need at least this much amount. This is first pre-ITA. After this, there is also post-ITA cost. So in post-ITA cost, there is medical exam, there is police clearance certificate, there might be other relevant documents to you, which could be related to obtaining the proof of fund and so on. So you might have to pay some fees to bank, you might have to obtain some other marriage certificates or this and that and so on. So there can be different types of documents, and to obtain those documents, there might be some here and fee involved. Now this can be little fee in your home country, but they will add up basically at the end of the day. So you will need money for that. And apart from that, the big chunk of money will go in your express entry processing fee itself. So I would say in totality per person it is approximately 2,000 CAD dollars, which is including your processing fee, right of permanent residency fee, permanent card fee, and so on. So these are some of the costs which are there. I have given you the link which will describe the breakup of it, but you can think that approximately it is 2,000 CAD dollars per person for processing fee. And lastly, you have to show the proof of funds, which is completely separate. Just keep it aside. Don't touch it at all before you land to Canada. And this has to be somewhere around, I would say, 12, $13,000 approximately per person. And after that, for each new person, you can add around $2 to $3,000 more for every each individual member that you add over it. At least you will need around $13,000, and you can add around $2 to $3,000 more for every next person. Apart from this, you will also need, your money will be spent when landing the Canada itself. Like it could be a flight tickets, it could be some shopping that you obviously do before, your Airbnb cost when you first land there if you have friends, well and good. Otherwise, your Airbnb cost will be involved. For initial 3 months, you will need to buy insurance. So these are just some of the very highlight costs which are there. There may be many small costs which would be added over the time. When you will only realize it when you actually go through the process. But in short, I am telling you that just keep around $20,000 per person in your account to need it. And for every additional person that is there, it could be a spouse or children, just keep 5,000 more for that person, for every new person. So I would say, like, for one person 20, for two person 25, for three person 30,000 Canadian dollars needs to be there in your with you, so that your process is smooth. Your overall process is very smooth. This brings to the end of this particular series, or this particular video first part. In the second part, I will cover what is the ideal order of steps that you have to follow to obtain your ITA, so that your entire process is very smooth and efficient at the same time, and you are not losing time or money unnecessarily. So please do like, share, and subscribe our channel so you get notification when we post our next video for this series. So thanks a lot, guys, and all the best.